Hi folks, we're Taskless today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the fake statistics and the false statistics that are put out by all the globalist-controlled Western governments. Now, across the Western world, whether you're looking at Australia or the United States or Britain, the last 12 to 18 months, the globalists have demanded and ordered their little flunkies in all these Western governments to absolutely nuclear level turbocharge mass migration. Australia's been no different. Now, for a nation of 27 million, just turned 27 million people, bringing in more than 500,000 migrants in just 1 year is massive. It's like 2% of the population, for goodness sakes, in 1 year. And there's no. They talk tough about we're going to reduce it, but there aren't any signs of that. Immigration from India is it makes Niagara Falls look like a tea party. The mass of people coming from India is just insane. And they're not needed or wanted. They bring no skills or anything. It's an absolute. It's just pure, in my view, population replacement. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But there's the claim that unemployment, in spite of this turbo nuclear level mass migration, that unemployment is as lower than it's ever been. It's historic lows. Unemployment rate is less than 4%. It's 3 point something or other percent, and it's and that proves. So the government and their media propagandists, globalist controlled media propagandists say this proves that there are jobs for everybody and mass migration is needed to fill these empty jobs. There's no one in Australia to do the jobs. Nobody. Business can't grow. Nothing can get done. Only mass migration from third world peasant economies and with illiterate peasants coming in. Only that can solve the problem. Now that in itself is an utterly grotesque untruth, but that's the message they put. The skills. Now let's have a little look at this, and I've touched on this before, but the lying and the blatant lying has just become so over the top. I need to do another video on this. Now, let's have a look at the reality on the ground. Now, the average sort of at any given time, the average jobs that are supposed, advertised. This is on the internet job boards. The average sort of amount of jobs that at any one time, other than say a one-off moment like COVID or something, but the jobs at any one time advertised on, say, the nation's biggest job board are anywhere between 230 and 250,000. Now, there's slight variance within that, but that's sort of the average that tracks pretty much all the time. Now, the average over the last few months has been nearly 40%, about 37% below that. So there's a sharp, very substantial reduction in the number of advertised jobs on the job boards, on the internet job boards. So they've gone from, say, around 230-ish thousand, they're down to about 150,000 now. That's a big drop. That is a huge drop. And it's occurred at the same time as the mass migration was going insane. So there's a massive reduction in the number of, 37% reduction in the number of jobs advertised. And on top of that, whenever the government advertises a job, they'll take up 10, 15, 20 places, which artificially gins up the numbers. So the 150,000 is actually much less than that in reality. So we know there's a lot fewer jobs being advertised. So therefore, there, by definition, obvious definition, there are fewer jobs that are available, and the number of jobs advertised has dropped sharply. Now, on top of that, the number of people who are applying for jobs has gone through the roof. Certainly, all the HR people and CEOs that we do business with are commenting on it, and even in very specialist jobs, like it's a a scientist job where it's a very specialised niche. I mean, it's a scientist, for goodness sake. The world's hardly awash with them. And a scientist in a rural area, and they'll still get 30 to 40 applications for the job. And a year or so ago, a couple of years ago, or even pre-COVID, they'd be lucky to get 2 or 3 applications. There are jobs that used to be, if they even got 1 application, they'd be happy. Someone who's upright and warm and alive. Now they're getting 100 applications. It's not unusual now to see, jobs, certainly, but based on what people are telling me at least, that 200, 300, 400 500 applications are now becoming commonplace. So the number of people applying for jobs has just gone through the roof. So we're looking at far fewer jobs that are out there being advertised, and we're looking at a huge increase in the amount of people, by many hundreds, if not thousands of percent in some cases, and for skilled, specialised jobs where you would expect there would be only a handful of applicants, even those jobs. And that's certainly a measure of, is there a surplus of talent? Now, if you look at the number of jobs that pay the average wage or less, or the median wage or less, and the median and the average actually aren't that far apart at the moment. But if you look at that, the vast majority of jobs are in that area. So there's a lot of low-paid jobs that are being advertised. So we need mass migration of peasants to fill those jobs. Well, why don't we let market forces work? If they can't find local employees, why can they only exploit third world peasants as virtual slave labour? And that's the only way they can fill the jobs. I don't buy that. That means there's a vast number of businesses out there that are surviving only on imported third world peasant slave labour through these fake labour hire firms and so on. But coming back to the issue of unemployment, unemployment at the skilled level, where people actually do have marketable, identifiable skills and credentials and accomplishments, there's a chronic shortage of jobs for skilled people in Australia, and the only job creation area is in low-paid, low-skilled peasant jobs. So you could argue that there's a shortage, but there's not. There's a shortage of the market economics functioning. That's what the shortage is. And the solution to bring in, again, slave labour, peasants in the third world, what sort of fucking solution is that? And that's a bullshit solution. Now, in terms of the 500,000 immigrants, I don't know what they're all doing. What sort of jobs they're doing. Are they under the table cash jobs or so? What are they doing? Because for all of them to have found work, and I don't believe they have, by the way, I think that's all ridiculous. I think most of those would be family reunion and things like that. So I think very few of them would actually be working in any capacity, whether it's digging holes in the road or flipping burgers or cutting sandwiches or, I don't know, baristering or something like that. So looking at the number of jobs that were created, say over the last 12 months, then the new children, the younger people, like leaving high school, leaving university, that sort of thing, the number of migrants coming in and so on. So unemployment should be somewhere around 16, 17, 18% in reality. So I don't know what statistical alchemy they're using to claim it's less than 4%. It's clearly not. But just people I'm aware of that are looking for jobs or trying to move from full part-time or casual to full-time, these sorts of things, just the people I'm aware of in that situation, who shouldn't be. They're quite skilled people. It's not like they're, again, burger flippers or something like that. So there's no way that unemployment is at that level. Again, a statistical piece of alchemy that's being used to do that, if not outright premeditated, purposeful lying. Now, the media outlets that crow about, look at the unemployment rate, so they're the ones that are also the huge pushers of mass migration. Mass migration is a good thing. It's unalloyed. I mean, you don't question it. It is a good thing. Diversity and oh wow and oh, yeah. Now these are all people that live in, suburbs where they're 99% white. You tell everyone else how wonderful diversity, racial diversity is. These same media outlets who say mass migration is a wonderful thing can never tell you why, but they come back saying, well, Australia must have a labour shortage. If you bring in 500,000 people and the unemployment rate is still less than 4%, then there must be a labour shortage. I mean, A goes to B. It's obvious. Well, if creating and inventing the statistics and the point of references, I suppose it is. But there is no way. There is a shortage of labour. Otherwise, the number of jobs would not be falling precipitously, and the amount of people applying for jobs would not be going through the roof. And both of those things are happening. Just anecdotally, again, the amount of people I know either looking for work or looking to increase the hours they work. So why are we being told these lies? I think it's in support and trying to buttress the idea of mass migration is a good thing. See, all these people got jobs. There's a labour shortage. There's a skills shortage. We have to have more of this good stuff. When this is a patent absurdity and outright and outrageous lies. It's not that way at all. And again, even just another CEO I was talking to that, again, it was I wouldn't call it a scientific role, an upper end technical role, and that he was advertising, and they wouldn't have got more than 2, 3, 4 type applicants a couple of years ago when they last filled it. Again, now they've got 50 applicants. Now, I don't know if all of them are qualified, by the way. They could be all people from Central Africa somewhere, but again, that's a lot of applicants from how it was just a few years ago. These are all local people with local rights to work and everything. Some of them may be recent migrants, I don't know, but 50 for that sort of job. I mean, you wouldn't think there'd be more than 50 people in all of Australia for a job like that, let alone in that particular place. So clearly, we've got a monstrous surplus of qualified and skilled labour, and the only shortage of labour is for slave labour to flip burgers and paint nails and so on. And that's only because we're not letting market forces do the work. And that's a tragedy in itself. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.